I don't see a lot of television, but between Thanksgiving and New Year's, I kind of check out what's going on with the specials, the holiday specials, especially the ones with a lot of music in them. Really kind of nice. I enjoy that. And some of those things are just very, very familiar. A lot of familiar Christmas songs, a lot of nice stories. It's good to see. Now, it's interesting because a couple of my friends actually called me, or they texted me and they said, hey, there's this special called First Christmas. You should see it. It's going to be on twice. We saw it the first time and liked it a lot. So I watched it the second evening it was on. Now, spoiler alert, Kevin Costner put this together. Now, I think of Kevin, I don't know, anybody see that show? First Christmas? When I think of Kevin Costner, I think of baseball movies or the FBI and Elliot Ness and things like that. I don't necessarily think about the Gospels that much, but hey, it wasn't bad at all. They had different scenes from the infancy stories, and particularly in Matthew and Luke, and then they had these scriptural experts, these talking heads, more or less, telling you what you saw. But I'm looking at a crowd that's here on Sundays or Saturday evenings a lot. You've heard these stories around the Christmas season before, right? You know how these turn out. So you might not have needed them as much, but all the same, I was really interested in seeing what they would do with the account of the Epiphany, because, well, much like, let's say, a lot of you come on Christmas Eve and we always hear Luke's gospel at that time, Luke's story of the birth of Christ with the shepherds and the angels and all that. People enjoy that. They like to hear that. Every year, this is the gospel reading we have for Epiphany. And it doesn't talk about kings per se, it talks about magi, like advisors to the king. Learned men, astrologers, people who were aware of the culture around them. It's interesting how that all kind of turns out. Well, that First Christmas show did a nice job kind of portraying them. And it seemed to kind of follow a bit with what was going on with the reading of Matthew's gospel. And the reason I say that is that, well, they are clearly very, very bright people who are aware, they're aware of Hebrew scripture because they read a lot of the cultures around them. And they are very much fixed on the stars in the night sky. And so they come and follow the star and they find him. And in that show on the evening, there they are. They're in Herod's court and they're talking to Herod, and they look and as they speak to Herod, Herod's face just becomes so angry and downcast. And let's say what was here in the gospel? We saw the star and it's rising. We've come to do him homage. And then to me this phrase here. When King Herod heard this, he was greatly troubled, and all Jerusalem was troubled with him. No kidding. Herod was very jealous about his rule, and Herod had a reputation of being very, very firm, despotic leader. People did not want to upset him because they were worried what would he do to take out his vengeance on others. So we have all that going on. And as it turns out, they talk about how the Magi find Mary and Joseph, they offer homage, they bring their gifts, just like they say in the scriptures, the gold, the frankincense, and the myrrh. And then the Magi have a dream, and they go by way of, they've been warned, don't go back to Herod. And they go back by another route. Now it's interesting because, well, experiences Mary, talk about the angel coming to Mary, the Annunciation, things like that. Or say the experience of an angel coming to Joseph, rise and take your wife and your son, they're in danger, go to Egypt. But then Joseph gets a dream, it's safe to go back. But Joseph gets another dream, go back to a different town. So the dreams are part of the story too. It's interesting. Let's get back to the Magi for a minute. They get their dream, and having met Herod the first time, they think twice about returning to him. They go back by another way themselves. Now, you know this Epiphany story so well. We celebrate it every year. What does it say to us? The experience of the Magi, something really caught them, whether it's in a dream or their encounter with Herod, or their encounter with Mary and Jesus. Let's be fair. We really believe that Jesus is transforming. He changes everyone he meets. The Magi are changed too. They're open to the suggestion they should go someplace else. And they do. What's that say to us today? How open are we to letting the experience of Christ change our lives? The experience of Christ in the sacraments, the experience of Christ in the word we proclaim this morning and every time we gather, or when you read the scriptures at home, the experience of Christ present with us when we come and pray together. How do all these things touch our lives and change us? Do they open us to the possibilities of how we can love God more deeply, be more attentive to our neighbors, be loving, and become people of service to our neighbors? Can we be attentive to what's going on in the world around us and care for the world? Jesus comes to bring us back to the side of the Father. He invites us to change our ways and to follow him, that he can lead us to life eternal. Can we think about the ways in which, like the Magi, we too can find our lives changed? Our lives changed, that we can turn ourselves over to Christ. May put our needs second, put his needs first, and find the ways that we can be people of love and service and faithfulness. And here we are at this season now. Soon we'll be ending the Christmas season. We'll be beginning ordinary time. We'll start our journey pointing towards Jerusalem, pointing towards Holy Week and Easter. What can we do to find ourselves walking with Jesus and let his presence open our hearts and our souls and change our lives forever?